The account of the Great Flood records a moment of total global collapse, a point where the existing world was effectively erased by water. This destruction traces back to the very first human disobedience. When Adam rebelled, sin entered the world and began to multiply exponentially. Within generations, this corruption had spread into a dense web of violence that covered the entire earth. In this historical moment, the necessity to cleanse a wicked world met a proactive search for rescue. While the world was being judged, God was looking for a specific individual who could carry the human race forward. He found that person in Noah. Noah's selection wasn't based on luck, but on his active choice to walk righteously in a society that had abandoned its creator. He became the solitary anchor point for all of humanity's survival. God gave Noah a staggering set of instructions. He was to build a massive, multi-decked wooden boat with precise measurements, cabins, a window, and a door, and he was to do it all on dry land. The cargo requirements were just as specific. Noah had to gather his family and enough food to sustain them for months. He then had to bring in 2 of every living animal and bird to ensure life could continue after judgment. This level of preparation required a specific kind of confidence. In Hebrews chapter 11, the Bible defines this as faith, the reality of things hoped for, and the proof of what is not seen. By committing to this massive construction project, Noah proved that faith acts before evidence appears. He built the means of his salvation long before he felt a single drop of rain. Hebrews 11 outlines the mechanical ways this faith operates in a crisis. The first principle is that faith brings motivation to our work. Building the ark required decades of grueling labor. While the world viewed his project as irrational, Noah's dedication to the work was fueled entirely by his trust in an unseen promise. The time for construction ended, the heavens opened, and for 40 days, relentless rain poured down until the floodwaters overtook every mountain peak on earth. As the waters rose, a clear boundary was established. Outside, the world was being dismantled, but inside the ark, every occupant was safe. The record notes that God himself shut the door, sealing the perimeter against the storm. Noah was protected because he executed the labor while the sky was still clear. The physical work of obedience is what ultimately provided security when the crisis arrived. This physical security led to a second internal reality. Faith brings rest to our souls when we are confronted with terrifying circumstances. This chart shows the scale of the cataclysm. The water level surpassed the highest mountains, leaving the ark unmoored. But inside the vessel, there was a pocket of stability. The ark remained an isolated environment of peace, insulated from the violent destruction outside. This stability wasn't the result of Noah's nautical skills. The ark didn't even have a rudder. Survival was purely a matter of his reliance on God's promises and his strict adherence to the building instructions. Because he followed these precise instructions, a wooden vessel became an impenetrable sanctuary. Trusting God's ordering of circumstances provides a specific kind of internal stability, even when the environment is in upheaval. Eventually, the rain stopped, and the floods began to recede. The ark, which had been adrift for months, finally struck solid ground. It came to rest here, in the snow-capped peaks of Mount Ararat. Noah then began a patient process of verification. He released a raven and then a dove, waiting 7 days between each attempt to see if the land was dry enough to support life. On its second flight, the dove returned with an olive leaf in its beak. This was the definitive proof that the earth had been cleansed and renewal had begun. Noah remained inside the ark for months after the rain stopped, waiting for a specific command to exit. This period of waiting, even after the danger had passed, served as the final test of his obedience. When God finally commanded Noah to leave the ark, his very first act on the new earth was to build an altar. He offered a sacrifice of worship to God in gratitude for his family's preservation. God responded to this act with a permanent promise. He declared that while the earth remains, the cycles of seed time and harvest, cold and heat, and summer and winter would never again be destroyed by a flood. He identified the rainbow as the permanent visual token of this divine covenant. It was set in the clouds as a sign for all future generations that God is committed to caring for his creation. The Ark shows us that while faith doesn't stop the storms from forming, it provides the structure to survive them. By walking righteously and following God's specific instructions, we build the very thing that ensures our preservation through the deluge. The account